Hey everyone, welcome back to a new Assetto Corsa Competizione race week on Low Fuel Motorsport. Now I'm relying on sim racing to cheer me up today. That's because I've just got back from a weekend away watching Argyle and it was a complete disaster. One of the worst games I've ever seen, and we were absolutely trounced by Cardiff City. So can ACC lift my spirits? Well, there are 27 cars on the grid for this GO Setups GT3 Sprint at the Nürburgring, and I'll be starting from P7 with a qualifying time of 1:56.1. Realistically, I'll need to get that lap time down into the 1:55s to challenge for a podium here. Can it be done? Well, let's find out. And it's green, we're underway at the Nurburgring. Great start in the rear view mirror for the Audi. That is Andreas Grams already having a look up the inside. I'm hoping that he thinks better of that because the track gets a lot narrower here after pit lane. Grams still having a look. He is going to try and sneak up the inside. That is surely going to result in contact. Yes, it does. And all I can do is get my elbows out there. I was squeezed in between Grams in the Audi and Gabon Marais in the McLaren. So you've always got to expect a bit of door banging in turn one at the Nürburgring. As far as Nürburgring starts go, that one wasn't too bad. Oh, but I might have got a bit too close to Gabon Marais there. I was in danger of tagging the rear of that McLaren had I not backed down through that right-hander. That is going to put me under attack now from Julian Judex. I'm going to hold this defensive line to make it really difficult for the McLaren to go around the outside. Sure enough, he does back out. So a slightly messy start here at the Nürburgring. I think I've lost one position because Gabon Marais started alongside me on the fourth row. He was in P8 but made the move around the outside in T1. So it's Marais up into P7. I'm down to P8, but it is all still to play for here. And hopefully I can find the pace to stick with this front seven. I said before the start of the race that I needed to get my lap times into the 1:55s if I'm truly going to be competitive. So that has got to be the first aim here. As we take another look at the replay of T1. Watch that black and green Audi. And to be fair to Grams, he didn't do anything wrong there. I left a big gap on my inside and he attempted the move as cleanly as he possibly could. However, there just wasn't room for three cars. I got sandwiched in between the Audi and the McLaren of Gabon Marais. Now, the eagle-eyed among you will have noticed a drive-through penalty pop up as soon as the lights went green to start this race. It was handed to the number 8 BMW of Jan Schmeckel, and Schmeckel just happens to be the pole position driver. So he's the fastest person on track, he's leading this race, but he will have to go down pit lane, and if he doesn't do it at the end of this third lap, he will be disqualified. So I can expect to gain one position as we come around the final corner to end this third lap. Oh, and there might be another position up for grabs because Gabon Marais has lit up the rear of that McLaren exit in the final corner. He lost all his momentum, so I breezed past, not only up into 7th, but now up into P6. Because sure enough, Schmeckel, the race leader, did go down pit lane to serve that penalty. So things are starting to look a bit more encouraging now and beginning to make progress on this fourth lap. Yeah, Marais in that McLaren was out of shape long before the last corner. He ran in too hot into the chicane actually, clips the grass on the inside, then he's out onto the grass on the outside, which of course is going to make his tyres dirty, and he finds that out to his cost when he gets on the gas exit in the final corner. The rear says no thanks, steps out, and it gives me the chance to breeze past. Just in the background there in pit lane, we can see Jan Schmeckel serving the penalty. Right, back to the live action towards the end of lap 4, and I'm beginning to close in on this pack in front. The gap just 0.5 per second now to David Munoz in 5th position. And actually, I've still got sight of the podium as well. Marcos Sancho in 4th position is just 0.8 of a second ahead, while Kiki Diaz, currently holding on to that 3rd spot, is 1.3 seconds ahead. So I could yet find myself battling for a podium here at the Nürburgring. And I close right in on the rear of the BMW coming through that final turn. It's a good lap for me, this one. It could be a 1:56 flat as we cross the line. No, it's a 1:56.2, but I'm pretty much on qualifying pace now. Meanwhile, behind me, a 1:57.1 for Gabon Marais, so I've opened up nearly a second on Marais through that previous lap. However, that advantage will soon be wiped out if I get myself into a fight with Munoz in the BMW here. Yeah, this will definitely impact my pace, and already Marais is starting to close back in. It's come down from 1 second to 0.4 of a second through this tricky stadium section. But have I got what it takes to find a way past Munoz in the BMW? He started P5 on the grid. His qualifying time was a 1:55.8, so he was a good 3/10 quicker than me. And I've just picked up a warning as well for cutting the track. That shows how hard I am pushing here in an attempt to put this BMW under pressure. Look in the rear view mirror, Mirai now is closer to me than I am to Munoz. Just 0.4 of a second back to the McLaren, while it's half a second to the BMW in front. And just ahead of Munoz, it looked like Marcos Sancho in the black Ferrari completely missed the apex into that hairpin. So that will grip the pack back together in front. Maybe that'll give me the opportunity to try and claw back those few tenths that I've lost over the first half of this lap. And yeah, look at the delta. I'm half a second down on where I was this time a lap ago, but I've got this left-hander a lot smoother this time around. That's given me a couple of tenths straight away, and all of a sudden I'm now right back onto the tail of Munoz in the BMW. Meanwhile, behind, Gabor Mirai in the McLaren certainly isn't giving up either. He is being dragged along with me, still just 0.8 of a second behind. The pressure is building here at the Nürburgring. And that pressure might just have got to Munoz in the BMW because he's got the chicane completely wrong. Is this an opportunity for me to dive up the inside into the final corner? Well, I'm not quite close enough, but can I position myself on the inside exit in the corner to challenge down the start-finish straight? Well, once again, I'm just not quite far enough alongside Munoz. And Munoz moves over to the inside now. He wants to defend that inside line into T1, so I've got no choice but to try and sling it around the outside here. If I can maintain a bit of momentum around this wider line, I'll have the inside line for the next two corners. Am I close enough? Oh, not quite. It's tight. It's really tight. Munoz is driving really respectfully here. He's leaving me with just enough room to work with, and I'm going to try and make the most of it here. I've still got the inside line, and I have found a way past the BMW up into P5. Well, that overtake was about 4 or 5 corners in the making. I had no choice but to go wide at T1. I was hoping the momentum would carry me alongside the BMW into this left-hander. I wasn't quite close enough, but as I said at the time, Munoz was being really respectful here. He's not slamming the door shut. He's leaving me just enough space to keep us both safe through this tricky tight section, and I was able to get the job done. That's me up into P5, and we're now back to the live action at the start of lap 7. Half race distance, and the big question is, can I fight for a podium during the second half of this race? Well, Marcos Sancho is just 0.9 of a second ahead in 4th. Kiki Diaz 1.5 seconds ahead in 3rd, so everything to play for here. Big mistake from the black Ferrari. Sancho just couldn't get it stopped into that left-hander, and that has cost him a ton of time. I'm now closer than I've ever been to P4, but we can't forget about Munoz in the BMW behind either. He is just half a second behind. I've switched the TV cam on just so we can keep an eye on things from Munoz's point of view. We know that he's going to be determined to try and get his top 5 position back. Oh boy, it is non-stop pressure here at the Nürburgring, and we've still got more than 12 minutes left on the clock. Who is going to cope with that pressure? Who is going to make a mistake? Well, it looks like Munoz is going to make the mistake. He has overshot the hairpin. So Munoz out into the gravel. He surrenders 6th position. Gabor Mirai has got past, and all of a sudden I've got some breathing room behind. Oh, mistake, I've lost it, have I? No, I've just about managed to hold on to it. Oh, that was a fright. That was a big warning sign that I may be pushing just a little bit too hard. The race could have been over there if I'd lost control of my Lamborghini. As it is, I managed to keep it pinned, and I've actually got closer than ever to Sancho. Sancho got it all wrong coming out of that section. Is there space up the inside? I'm just going to back out of that one. I didn't fancy that I wouldn't get squeezed through that right-hand kink. Oh, this is relentless. Look in the rearview mirror. It's just 0.2 of a second. Back to Gabor Mirai now. And Munoz is right with him as well. Well, that breathing room behind didn't last for very long, did it? Well, I need to take a breath and calm down here. I am beginning to get a little bit rattled by this relentless pressure. We're going to be starting lap 8 now. Still more than 10 minutes to go. So I could yet find myself battling for a podium, but I'm equally likely to throw it all away here at the Nürburgring. Another mistake into T1. I just brake a little bit too late. Missed the apex completely. That opens up a gap on the inside. Mirai is challenging now. Mirai swarming over my rear. And as the tyre temperatures rise, the grip is reducing here at the Nürburgring, and there's no grip at all for Sancho in the Ferrari. He's made exactly the same mistake as he did a lap ago, and I am now up into P4. Oh, it is getting good here. Let's take another look at the replay of this mistake from Sancho. Now, we saw him make exactly the same mistake a lap earlier, but he gets it even more wrong this time. He's not getting that Ferrari stopped, and he spins out. Lap 9 now, and it's beginning to look like the podium may be a bit too ambitious. Kiki Diaz is now more than 2 seconds clear. Instead, I am just focusing on trying to maintain that gap to the cars behind. I'm pushing as hard as I possibly can, a bit too hard. Another track cut warning. Oh, it's an official warning this time. I don't want any more of them. Well, thankfully, it's not just me feeling the pressure. We're now watching the battle behind me. Gabor Marai trying to hold off Marcos Sancho, and Marai is going to make a big mistake coming out of the final turn. He lights up the rear again, slides into the barrier, and that is him out of the top 5 fight. Well, after that mistake from Marai, I was really hoping for a bit of peace and quiet over these final 5 minutes, but of course that wasn't to be. There is absolutely no let up in this race. I've switched the TV cam back on because look who I've got for company. The BMW of Munoz is right on my tail again. And I'll be honest, I'm not feeling particularly confident that I've got it in me to hold him off for an entire 5 minutes. I've even had to dial up my TC a notch. After that track cut warning, I thought it was better to be safer than sorry. My tyres are heating up, I'm losing grip, my lap times now are down into the 1:57, so I am really struggling over the final stages of this race, and look how close Munoz is now. He is breathing down my neck. Well, my big worry now is that I may not even finish in the top 5, because as close as Munoz is, look at Julian Judex. He is now almost within 1 second as well, so even the slightest mistake from me here is going to be incredibly costly. Can I hold on to P4? Can I even hold on to the top 5? Well, we're going to find out over these final 4 minutes of the Nürburgring. Oh boy, this is stressful. I'm just really hoping I hold it together here. I deserve a good finish in this race. I'm driven pretty well, but I am starting to feel flustered. The heat is well and truly on. We're on lap 11, but it feels like we've done 100. Into the hairpin. Oh no, the rear's stepping out. I've lost it. Oh, I thought it was over then. I've managed to hold on to it, but Munoz smells blood now. And there was absolutely no grip at all going into that hairpin. I felt the rear start to come around. The car was oversteering. Thankfully, I managed to correct it in the nick of time and hold on to this 4th position. But look how tight it is now. Munoz just 0.3 of a second back. Judex 0.8 of a second back. But you know what? I think I am done here. Once again, I'm struggling to get the car turned through that corner. That is going to give Munoz the opportunity he needs. Straight away, I know that I've got no choice but to go defensive here and hope for the best on the approach to the chicane. We're going to be side by side. Too wide through this chicane rarely ends well, but I've got to try and fight for this position. We're still side by side coming out of the chicane. There's contact. I'm trying everything I can to hold on to the car. We're still side by side through the final corner. This is sensational stuff. Well, as soon as we exited that chicane, still too wide. The odds were always in Munoz's favour to get the job done. He had the inside line for the final corner, and now he's going to defend turn 1 with everything he's got. Watch Judex behind though. He's going to make a late lunge. It's a dive bomb from Judex in the McLaren. He takes my nose off. Well, thankfully I saw that just in the nick of time. I aborted my apex and managed to avoid being clattered there, but what a battle this was. Let's take another look. This was simply sensational. It's very rare you see 2 cars go through that chicane side by side and both survive to tell the tale. I was luckier to survive this one though. Thankfully I saw that lunge from Julian Judex in the nick of time. I was able to adjust my steering and avoid the worst of the contact. Unfortunately though, that contact did cost me about 1 second, and that denied me the opportunity to try and fight back for that 4th position, and I was really frustrated on this final lap when I saw Munoz make this mistake in front of me. He misses the apex through the hairpin, but unfortunately I'm just not close enough to capitalise. Well, what a race this was as we come through the final corner. It has been intense. The checkered flag is out. Kiki Diaz in the Ferrari takes 3rd. Munoz in the BMW 4th. I cross the line in 5th. That is how close it was. Fantastic racing here at the Nürburgring. Unfortunately, that 1:55 lap time eluded me. That is really what I needed to be able to challenge for the race victory here. But there is absolutely no way I can be disappointed with a race like this. It had everything. I said at the start I needed cheering up, and this has delivered big time. As always, thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please do let me know what you thought. I'll see you again soon. Cheers for now.